Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Learning Excel through a live project. So we are working on the financial data. You are recording all your day-to-day expenses, your budget, everything in this Excel sheet. And I'm sure that you definitely will not like any unauthorized person to open this Excel sheet and either view the records or they are allowed to edit the records. And similarly, suppose you are creating this particular application and you are sharing it with your family members, and you don't want any one of us to alter the structure of this particular Excel sheet. So, everything, let us combine everything and call it as protecting the workbook. To protect the workbook, be it for restricting the users to open this workbook or to restrict the users from altering the structure of the workbook, Excel has provided multiple features. But unfortunately, this is one of the most unused or the least used feature which many of the people are not aware of it, or even if they are aware of it, they are not using it properly. Let us go through all the features available as part of the protecting your workbook or securing your workbook one by one. Let us jump directly to the course. How do we protect our workbook? To see all the features which are available as part of protecting your workbook, you need to go to the menu called File, and inside that file, you have a submenu called Info. If you open that, you have multiple options inside the Protect Workbook sheet. I have already protected the workbook for accidental changes. Just remove everything. Okay. So now the first thing what I want to do is I go to the protection step by step. The first thing I am going to do is I'm going to protect this workbook from accidental changes. That is, I don't want to restrict this workbook to others, but I just wanted to ensure that the file is always saved in read only mode, and only if I say yes, I want to edit, then only it will be allowed to edit. So for that, the option available is if I go to the protect workbook, the first option is always open as read only. So if I go here and now I'm closing it. Please note that I am using OneDrive, so my workbook will be saved automatically. If you are not using the OneDrive, you need to save it exclusively. Let me go to my workbook again and let me open it. If I open this workbook again, it will come with an information that it is read only, and to prevent the accidental changes, the author has set this document as read only by purpose. So, can you edit this workbook? Yes, you can edit it by just pressing this edit anyway. If you are not doing it, everything will be there, but you cannot, it will not automatically save. Okay, so you can edit anyway, and now it is not read only, it is editable. You can do all the changes and you can do that. Now, the next thing I want is I want to protect this particular sheet alone. I don't want people to insert any column. I don't want people to change the format of it. Nothing I want. I just want it to be protected. How can I do it? Let's see that. I have the expense tracker, and only for this sheet, I don't want anybody to change the structure. I don't want anybody to insert a new column. I don't want anybody to insert a new row, or I don't want anybody to change the font of it, the color of it. I want to restrict it. So, how can I do that? There is a feature called Protect Sheet. You go to the File, Info, and go to the menu, and you have Protect Current Sheet. This menu can be accessed in two ways. Either you go to the File, Info, Protect Workbook, or you can simply go to your main menu and say review, and you have here inside the protect, you have the protect sheet. So you say protect sheet. So if I don't select anything and say okay, so it is totally protected. You cannot do any changes to it. You cannot even edit it, or you cannot change the format of it. This entire font section will be disabled. Your alignment section will be disabled. Your number, everything is disabled. You cannot do anything except for you can hide or unhide a sheet. You can rename a sheet. You can work anything related to the sheet property, but you cannot do anything related to the data inside this worksheet. But I want to protect this workbook, but I want to allow the people to insert a new row. How can I do it? I go to the review again and go to the protect sheet. You need to give a password for it. I just give it as 1234 and select. I want to insert rows alone. I say insert row is allowed and say OK. I want to reconfirm the password. I confirm the password. Now, can I edit this? No, I cannot edit it. Can I change the font of it? No, I cannot change the font of it. But can I insert a new row? Yes, I can insert a new row because that is what we have allowed the users to do it. Like that, what are the other things we can allow? I'm going to the review ends again. I'm going to the protect sheet. I'm using giving the password which I given. Please note that these passwords you need to remember. If needed, you please note it down in a secure place so that you can use it. Okay. So now if I go to the protect sheet, I can give, for example, if I want to allow the insert columns too, I select insert columns and say okay. Now I can insert a column. Hope you are able to follow what are the features we can do with protect sheet. If you don't want the protection, you want to remove whatever protection we have made, you can go to unprotect sheet, and once it is done, now you can edit it. Everything you can do. Okay, let me delete it. So you are clear about the protection. Now, similar way, you can protect the workbook also. But protecting the workbook is slightly different from how you are doing the protect sheet. Let's see what all features we can do with that. When we protected the worksheet, we were able to restrict the users from everything. We were not allowing them to edit the worksheet. We were not allowing them to insert a column, insert a row. Everything we are restricted. But we were not able to restrict the users from changing the sheet name or hiding the sheet or inserting a new sheet. Everything we were not able to do that. So, how can I protect all those things? I want this workbook to be protected in such a way that except me, nobody else can create a new worksheet or hide a worksheet or unhide a worksheet. Especially this unhiding this worksheet is very essential because you may be hiding some worksheet with confidential data and you don't want anybody to open and see it. So that is possible through your protect workbook, which is available once again in the review protect menu, or you can go to the file info, and in the protect workbook you have protect workbook structure, both are same. So I'm giving a password again and I'm going to protect the structure of it. So as soon as I say you have to confirm it once again, and now I say okay. Now this workbook is protected, so if I want to insert a new sheet, I cannot do that. Insert, delete, rename, move or copy, tab color, hide, unhide, everything is disabled. I cannot even move this sheet from here to here. I can view it whatever way you want. Suppose, let me just unprotect it, and I am hiding this column called sumfs, hiding it. And now I protect it. I'm protecting it. Now there is no way for any user to view the SumIFS sheet. When you work on Protect Workbook, you might have noticed that there is one more thing called Windows, which is disabled. This is disabled because after version 2016, you don't have an option to have multiple windows of an Excel. Instead, everything is a separate file. So this is not available after Excel 2016, so you don't need to worry about that. And one more point, for protecting the workbook, keeping the password is optional, but it is always recommended to keep a password so that it is protected well. In addition to protecting a sheet or protecting a workbook, you can also lock the entire sheet for data and allow the user to use only those cells where you want them to edit the data. That and all we will see as on a separate episode because we need to see it in detail. But in the meantime, there are few other features available in your Protect workbook. They are very critical. So I'm going to encrypt with password. What is the meaning of encrypt this password? This is one of the most essential feature which everybody should use if you are creating a workbook with very important or confidential data. So if I'm going to encrypt it with password, I give some password which you need to remember for sure. I need to confirm it and say okay. Now I closed it, and if I open this Excel sheet once again, you cannot open it until and otherwise you are providing this password. So in that way, nobody else other than the people who know this password can open it and see your data. So what are other features available as part of the Protect? And if you don't want your file to be encrypted, you can remove it by going to File, Info, go to Encrypt with Password, and delete your password. Okay. Now your password protection for the file is removed. Okay. There are a few other features which are available, and one of the important thing is digital signature, by which you can add a digital signature if you have one. So I will show you how to implement the digital signature. I will be using one of the system generated digital signature which I have. It may not be valid. Okay, so I can give a commitment type, whether this is approved. This is for you to confirm that whether the document is created, reviewed, or approved, or anything. So I have created this document, and you can write the purpose for signing this document. This is to demonstrate, and you can provide your information about who is signing it, what is his role, and what is the address detail, everything. This is optional, and you can sign it if you have a digital signature which is already available by any of the certificate provider. I'm using it as one of the system generated, so you can, so this will not be validated, and as soon as I sign, so it has my signature embedded to it. So if I view this signature, it will tell when it is signed and all those signature related details it will display. So is this all we have as part of the data protection and security? No. In addition to that, there is one more feature available by which you can log the entire sheet. Assume like I'm going to the expense head, and I'm going to log all the expense head details, and I'm going to allow only to edit the monthly budget. Remaining thing all will be logged. So how can we do that? Let us see it exclusively in another episode, in tomorrow's episode, so that we understand it better. I hope today's episode was very informative and you were able to learn something new, which you can practically use in your day to day work. In tomorrow's episode, we will learn more about how to protect your workbook with additional features. And once again, my appeal to everyone is to provide your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video among your friends and colleagues. And in addition to that, I request once again to provide your feedback by way of comments so that I can respond to you personally and I also learn whether I'm going in the right direction and it is useful for you all. Thank you. Thank you once again. Bye bye.